out how fandom and escapism can actually be a tool for political or class.
Lady Ishtar, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but she here offers a very fascinating case study. First point is yes, absolutely. Fandom culture is culture. It's the story of the 21st century, where, through the internet, passionate, interested people who grew up on the commercial products of the prior several decades, even going back much farther, they took these commercial products into their own hands and made their own. That is what fandom culture is. From the anime dubs of Team Four Star to the musicals about Ace Attorney, the games, to the Sonic Amateur Games Expo, to Harry Potter. Ask me about what my own group was. It was very different and distinctive. But that being said, this is particularly directed at public historians who have kind of worked my way into. If you're not aware, Lady Ishtar is her area of focus is the Soviet Union, especially during Stalin's time. And if that gives you pause, it should, even if you're centrist or liberal or left leaning. Because as public historians, we must challenge patriotic myths. Not just the patriotic myths in our own country. And of course, with Cold War stuff, that's where it gets kind of messy. Because there's definitely an American myth of the 20th century, the righteous United States against the demonic Soviet Union. Lady I here does a great job of humanizing Soviet life, which I think is valuable. She works from Anna Louise Strong, and I think that's great, showing the material culture of Soviet life beyond just, gulags and famines and secret police. But of course, that gives a problem. That if you can't really have the one without the other. You can't just have the righteous rebellion of the proletariat against the bourgeoisie and just somehow ignore the crimes of the Cheka, NKVD, KGB, what have you. They're linked together. And I mention this because, I've kind of been my way into, the American Revolution. And most people, they just focus on the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and ignore slavery and native genocide. And you can't do that either. What goes for one must go for the other. The claims of building a new society that Lady I takes seriously, which, okay, but then you can't hide the Holodomor. You can't hide the crimes of the Bolsheviks or the AUCPB or the Communist Party or what have you. It has to be both. Because if you're not doing both, you're not being honest. Just like, you challenge the American Patriot Myth, challenge the Soviet Patriot Myth. You can't just recite Leninist or Stalinist or Maoist words uncritically. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be critical of your own society. My goodness, of course. You shouldn't be uncritical about the world in which you live. That's vital. And it is vital to show other human lives, especially those that are demonized. But Lady I often gets, hey, would you do this for the Nazis? And I don't think that's an invalid complaint, even if it's often in bad faith. Well, I'm not saying it in bad faith. I hope I'm saying it in good faith. That is it ethical to show Soviet life while not mentioning the all-present NKVD? I don't know if it is. Just like it's not really ethical to show early American life without slavery. I think they are comparable because both states claim to be revolutionary and new, but their actions undermine their words. And this is entirely separate from how much you actually seriously want to engage with Marxist theory, with economic theory. Because I gotta say, this is as fascinating and engaging and humanistic as it is, it can be pretty counterproductive. You know, if your defenses are already up, this is not going to breach through those defenses. It's just not. It's going to make them stronger. And if your real goal is getting people to take Marxist theory seriously, if not Leninist revolutionary theory, which is more about statecraft anyway, let alone, Stalinist or Leninist claims of revolution, it's like, come on. You can't ignore those facts. They're stubborn things. But that being said, if you want to affect change in any sort, of course you engage with culture, and you don't just do it with high culture, you do it with quote-unquote low culture. Well, frankly, the story of this century is that boundary no longer exists. People like stuff. Look, when I was in high school, being a communist was the edgy thing. That's how we tweaked the Bush administration's ears, and that might be coming back. But the problem is, then later, you got, people who were into Nazi stuff, they wanted to be edgy. They wanted to piss off the Obama administration. We're racist. And you can clearly make the argument that one is better than the other, with the radical left image and the radical right image, which is better. But they're both radical, but we happen to be living in crazy times. Find what you like, find truth, find joy, find happiness, find your people, because that's what the internet brings. But remaining tethered to previous centuries might not be the way to go. This is why, if you look in my pinned videos, I talk about Ludism, Ludism, trying to build an ideology for the 21st century that is uncoupled to capitalism or socialism. Because the means of production and human relationships have been totally changed by the internet. And so, our understanding of the world shouldn't be held back by previous centuries.